I remember just being terrified to go pick up the phone. And I kind of like dreading walked over to it and picked up the phone. Hello. And it was John, and you know, he's a gentleman, and he's from the South. So he says, "Hey, darling, it's John. I just wanted to tell you how great today was and how thrilled I am with what we did. And you're fantastic, and I'm so happy." And, you know, that just doesn't happen. That just does not happen. And it has certainly never happened to me again. Obviously, the term Scream Queen became associated to me because they were making a lot of horror movies and I was the star of them. Now, there's zero prep. You don't know you're going to have to do it until you do it, and you have no idea what you're going to do.
Well, I know a lot of people out there have seen me in Halloween and The Fog, and thank you. And they're all expecting me to do one thing. Well, this is for you.
At the age I was, the idea of somebody giving you a nickname, having you be the queen of anything, was extraordinary. When I was 19 years old, I was fighting for 2 lines a week on a TV series. And so to have a script where every single page was this girl was extraordinary. And it was also a character. When I got Halloween, the first thought in my mind wasn't like, ooh, my mother was in Psycho and I'm going to be in this horror film. I was so thrilled to get a job where the word Laurie was on every page of the script, literally. The last thing I thought about was that, oh, my mother was famous for that. I was hungry for every single job I ever got. And so the minute I got a job, I didn't care what it was. I just remember how small the offices were. I had, again, been at Universal where everybody had big offices and there were towers and, you know, it was that. And here was this little low-budget horror film with 2 tiny little rooms. When you're a young actor, you have no choice. The choice you have is to say no. I won't audition for that movie because it's a horror movie and I don't believe in horror movie, whatever, I don't care. A bunch of kids babysitting, blah, 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 small town, blah, blah, blah. No one involved with the movie Halloween, no one had a clue that 40 years later we'd be talking about that movie. Deborah Hill and I became very close girlfriends. I was 19, she was 30, and separate from being a producer and an actress. She was instrumental in creating Laurie. And the girls, just the whole vibe of the girls, the way the girls talked. You know what? Honestly, you have 3 characters of girls. You have a smart aleck, you have a cheerleader, and you have the repressed virgin. And I'm sure there are feminist classes at Oberlin College where they discuss why the virgin survives and the promiscuous girl doesn't. There is no deeper meaning to that the promiscuous girl gets killed and the virgin survives. You know what? I was a virgin at 17 in high school. A lot of girls are virgins at 17 in high school. This was a character who was very complete and clearly wasn't going to dress like Jamie dressed. And her entire wardrobe came from JCPenney in about an hour. And we went to JCPenney's and spent maybe $120 on everything. And that included socks, shoes, skirts, things that matched. That's where I think at 19 I was confused. And I didn't want to be weak. Vulnerable is very different than weak. When the movie came out and I saw it in a packed theater in Hollywood in 1978 in October, on Halloween, I think I went on a Halloween night, and it was a packed theater, and right at that moment, halfway through the walk across the street, a woman stood up in the middle of the theater and screamed out loud, "Don't go in there!" And right at that moment, I understood what John was talking about. All of what I understood, and I was like, oh, I get it. And that's exactly the response he wanted. People talking to the screen, talking to her like she was their little sister. So, there was a beautiful wistfulness to the character that was hardly the kind of material that I was seeing at that time. That there was an emotional life to her, that there were some quiet, private moments of her just all by herself, her dreaminess about finding a guy. Okay, well, so she's not a real person. just so you know.
What? No, but Santa, don't tell me.
I know. She's not real. She's a fake person. She was written on a piece of paper by other people. Nobody had a clue that there would be people who are interested in a darker understanding of none of it. It didn't exist. It's fun to intellectualize it. The irony, of course, is that in all those earlier films, I was not exploited for my physical looks at all. You're not pretty enough, or you're pretty, or you're whatever. Oh, everything's going to be a joke with me. I mean, come on. I will crack jokes for people who've had violence perpetrated on them. And, Laurie Strode's violence is fake. It's not real. But in a movie, to see a character come around 40 years later and say, no more. I also knew that there was a limit to it. And if I didn't get out at that point, that I wouldn't get work in other areas. I knew that I needed to break free from it because clearly that was all the work I was going to get. I felt like I owed the original audience of those movies to have the same girl playing Laurie Strode. I owed John and Deborah, even though John did not direct it. I felt like I owed him and Deborah very much, to be that same girl. And then I knew after that movie that I couldn't do it anymore. And I didn't for a very long time. Who we meet 40 years later is a woman who has spent her entire adult life, because she was 17 when this happened. So her entire adult life has been spent trying to convince other people that Michael Myers was going to come back. It's heartbreaking because she had no life. It's really a prison that she's in. It has been an ongoing discovery about who that is. I've had myriad careers, and I've raised 2 kids, and I've been married a long time, and yet, Laurie Strode will always be this beautiful girl that I will be known for and known as.